Interview call featuring Drifter.
And we're on the interview call. And this time around, I would like to welcome the statistician, storyteller, and skeptic, Drifter. How you doing?
Hello, doing just fine.
I'm glad to hear that. So I'm gonna ask you about a few questions about yourself and your channel. Let's get this over with then.
Alrighty.
Okay, to start, what is exactly the meaning behind Drifter?
It has no meaning. I know that sounds crazy. I used to have a different alias, but when I was playing online sometime in I believe it was the very end of like 1999, I saw a fellow with the name Drift0r, Drifter, and of course some symbols and letters, and I kind of liked it, but by the time I got Xbox Live, that was taken. So I went back to my old alias, and those were the days when you would have a gamer tag, but then each game would let you change your name individually. They got rid of that. So eventually I changed my gamer tag, and then Drift0r was taken, Drift0r with an O was taken. That guy likes to impersonate me now, which is awesome, and he refuses all attempts for me to purchase the gamer tag from him. And then Drift0r with an O, I think, was taken. And then I eventually got Drift0r X, and it was the same kind of thing on forums. I did Drift0r, then Drift0r, then Drift0r, and eventually when I get a Drift0rx, then people haven't signed up for it already. And there isn't a particular meaning for it or something symbolic. I just kind of liked the name and picked it at random, and it stuck. Sometimes the name chooses you, and sometimes you choose the name.
Yeah. We're kind of on the same boat now that you explained me that story, because my Xbox Live name is Kane B2, because the original Kane was taken, and fuck my luck, the guy who uses the name I've longed for is inactive on Xbox Live. I was like, dude, I'll pay you the name change. Just give me that name. And when I can't do that because the guy it's not using Xbox Live.
Yep.
So
and Microsoft never releases the names no matter how long it's been, because they always hope that the person will come back to Xbox Live. It's very frustrating. And the funny thing is that most people, when they come back, do so on a different account or different credit card, so they can't even recover those names.
well, there was talks about that last year that I think it was Major Nelson that tweeted it, that the unused names, like for example, you had previous names on Xbox Live before Drift0r X. So the old name that you use should be released for anyone to take it. Continuing along the line of what the naming. As a logo, you use a lot the Yin Yang logo. Does this have a meaning to you?
It does now more than it did before. Again, it's something just fairly random. I always kind of liked yin yangs, and I don't really know why. When I first started playing Halo 2, you had your create your own emblem thing, and my emblem forever was the yin yang that you see now, and that's when you saw people buy their emblems instead of the little tags or cards or whatever. So people would look across the map and see my yin yang, and that's how I represented myself. And then, well, the next game I played had an emblem creator, and the next one, and the next one, and I kept carrying it on. And when it came time to do my avatars and stuff for the YouTube channel, it just kind of made sense, and I've just kind of stuck with it. I would like to say that there is some sort of deep meaning that signifies something about my personality, but it wouldn't be true. It would be more me making something up to try and fit my personality. It's much more of I just kind of like the way the yin yang look, and I picked it, and I stuck with it, and that's about it.
Okay, so moving on. This is I'm gonna put the personal question aside for a moment, and then I'm gonna go into your channel. From what I got, you started the channel in 2008.
Sounds about right.
Most of the videos that you put up on the YouTube, kind of like on the beginning of time, were kind of like little personal videos. The question here would be if you didn't have any aspirations to actually make your YouTube channel more active like it is now.
No, there wasn't a thing back then. 2008, YouTube was this brand new thing, like, oh my gosh, you can watch videos on the internet, because before it was all you had to have MPEG-4 or Windows Movie Player embedded into the site, and YouTube is revolutionizing the whole video scene by letting you watch little flash videos, and it was just this kooky kind of site that anybody could make a password for, so I signed up, and I had a few videos around my house, so I uploaded a few. And I think about 2009 or 10, the site started picking up a little bit, so I uploaded a few more. It was just a little hobby. I liked making things and liked making a few videos, and I tossed them up there. There wasn't anything more than that.
And we're gonna go on that a bit later. But right now, okay, you started doing gameplays in Halo 3. Am I correct or?
I think I made a very short little montage or two and a few quirky kills to kind of test out my capture card.
It was the popular one back then was Dazzle, I think it was.
Oh yes, the Dazzle. No, I had something cheaper than that. I had the EasyCap USB 2.0, and I didn't have the legal one. I had the made in China one that came with cracked software, and it was difficult to use. I think it sells for like $4 now.
Uh, yeah, but kind of like many people now either use from what I know, they use either Hopage PBR or I think Elgato is coming up.
Those are
Um,
the two popular ones.
okay, so now on to the machinimas. I'm starting with the with Stranger at the end. There were like two revisits of those series. I saw the one in Black Ops, and I think I remember seeing that you brought it back during M.3.
That's correct.
Talk a little bit about the concept and what you wanted to achieve with that particular video.
Um, well, the concept came from a couple of different places. Number one is that at the time they had this thing on Machinima called it was some kind of campaign where they would give you a word and you had to make a video about it. And I was in Euphorian Films, and Chinggis Khan at the time got one called Resolute, and I was thinking about that. You even see it in the script where he says like "be resolute," blah blah blah. And I took a nap and I had a dream about most of Stranger at the End, about 80% of it I saw in a dream, and I wrote it down and kind of filled in the blanks. And then I changed it around a little bit to make it to obscure more, to make it more complicated, make it a little more confusing, and change the points of view. The original idea was that two people would meet in an isolated location and have a conversation with each other. And at different points, there would be cutaways, like little freeze frames or rapid color changes, to where you would be also listening to what they were saying in their heads. And that's how the whole story would unfold. And it was supposed to be like a double, or, well, I can't really spoil it for those that haven't watched, but it's a complicated story. Unfortunately, it got a little bit more confusing than it may have been worth. But I wanted to do it in Halo, but then the gravity of it didn't match with the Halo head bobbing. You couldn't do it in Call of Duty. I tried doing it in Gmod, but I'm really terrible at Gmod and Source. And eventually, it just kind of, I have the audio, and everything else has kind of gone the way of the dinosaur.
Back then you didn't have the tools you needed. Like let's put forth a situation in which everything was okay to do it in Halo, but um, going back then, would you consider that you didn't have the tools to actually make a concept like Stranger at the End possible?
That's correct. And to be honest with you, I don't really have the tools, or I don't have the tools and the expertise to do it today, which is why it just kind of floats in limbo. Though there is a fellow in Germany that's taken my script and he's found a location, and he may be doing a live action version over there soon.
Oh, nice. How long ago did you, or rather, were you informed of this?
I don't know, a month or so ago.
Okay. Now that you mentioned Euphorian Films, I have a few questions about that. You already kind of answered that you're not the owner of Euphorian Films. It's kind of like a filmmaking group. Was through Euphorian Films that you got your machinima partnership?
Yes, I joined under Chinggis Khan had a partnership, or he got one very shortly after I joined Euphorian Films. And I was not very good back then, but Chinggis kind of liked what I was working on, so he took me in. I was like the only other director. Euphorian Films was originally just him, and then it expanded to include a few more people, and then we picked up more, and we were all uploading videos under his contract under Machinima, and Machinima had a thing at the, well, I can't talk about that, but we were doing that, and eventually he recommended me for my own contract, and they gave me one, and I just kind of went from there.
So Euphorian Films now, are they still active? Is it on a
No,
hiatus?
Euphorian Films doesn't exist. On occasion, if I produced an If It Were Realistic video or something, because all of the previous ones have been under Euphorian Films. I still put the name on it, but Euphorian Films is gone.
Okay. And you mostly did horror and comedy. Were these the only two genres that you made for Euphorian Films?
Um, I think I tried action a little bit, and I tried mixing other little, like every now and then, like a little bit of romance or something like that into the other videos, but mostly just that. Mostly short, simple, funny, or as scary as you can get in a video game.
Okay, and let's talk a little bit about would you consider yourself to be a horror fan, either in media,
Yeah,
literature?
I watch quite a few scary movies, and I do rather enjoy them.
One of the recurring series. Maybe I'm correct in saying that this is the series that made you popular. We're talking about the in-depth series. What I have here is that in the beginning, or let's just talk about the genesis of in-depth. Like what made you do this series?
Well, that's back when Call of Duty was much more new. It was toward the end of Call of Duty 4 or World at War. I started getting into the stats. And I wanted to know how much damage FMJ increased on my guns because I really didn't think it did extra damage. And I looked it up and, oh, it doesn't do extra damage. It just shoots through walls. And people had a lot of things like silencer makes you shoot slower, or ACOG sight does more damage, or a lot of little things. Just nobody knew anything about Call of Duty games, and they were just making stuff up. And what happened is I got into an argument with a person that was being very pig-headed, and we went to the Call of Duty wiki, and I was like, bam, you're wrong. I know what I'm talking about. Then eventually I got into doing some little gameplay videos on Machinima Respawn. The director of the thing, Shore Wars, asked me to make a series, and I sat there and I thought about it. I was going to do this little series called Devil in the Details, where I showed people neat little spots on the map and some of the cute things the developers put in. And then somebody recommended maybe I'll do gun stats. So I tried that, and it worked, and people liked it, and I kind of stuck with it. Interestingly enough, a lot of people say that Xbox Ahoy, or that I copied Xbox Ahoy, because he started first. And the funny thing is we started like 1 or 2 weeks apart from each other. Like his first gun review went up, I think, like 2 weeks before mine, although mine had been done for a couple of weeks and sitting at Machinima, though he got way more popular than me, like really fast. So a lot of people said I copied him, and at the time I didn't have a YouTube, like I had the YouTube channel, but Machinima did not allow me to upload any videos to it. So Xbox Ahoy was putting videos on his channel and getting popular, and all of my work was just funneling into Respawn. Unfortunately, that was a management issue, we'll say. Also, he did a better job than me.
It's kind of like what Xbox Ahoy kind of like suffered with when he accepted to work for Activision, and he agreed to put his weapon guys on Elite. But
Yep, same thing.
Yeah, but when he tried to kind of like make a shorter version for YouTube, it directly competed with the Elite one, and I believe he said that Machinima it put the videos offline in request of Activision because it was a breach of contract. I think that error actually made him think that I want my elite guys on YouTube. He still does work for Activision, but not but he won't put the weapon guys again up on the elite.
I didn't know he worked for them anymore. I really don't talk to Xbox Ahoy too much. The first time I ever conversed with him, I was very rude, to say the least, and yeah, I felt bad about it. He's nice to me now, even though he probably shouldn't be.
Okay, moving on. The format of the in-depth series in the beginning was kind of like categories of guns piled into each other. It's not like the in-depth of now, where you go through each weapon individually. So kind of like this gun has X stats, this gun has X stats, this does this damage. It's better used this way. So I want to ask more about the change of pace that it got, because in the beginning it was kind of like all the assault rifles. It had one depth episode.
Well, it was a couple of different things. Number one, I realized that doing 5 guns in one video and talking about 3 stats for each gun was not particularly in depth, and the audience demanded to know more things about the weapons. They just wanted to know more, and I tried to include more and more, and then the episodes got longer and longer, and I was like, well, I just really need to do 2. and then maybe I just need to do one. And also, it was in a way I looked over at Xbox Ahoy, and he because eventually what I would do is I would make like 8 episodes and be out of guns and out of stuff to talk about. And then I looked at Xbox Ahoy, and I think JV 2017 there were some other people doing that. I was like, they do an episode on one gun, and I'm running too long on these episodes and running out of episodes. I should do that. That just makes more sense, and I did that.
You were talking about about people accusing you of copying Xbox Ahoy, but in this field, I guess it's good to look at what people have done before you. So you actually get ideas with kind of like without. It's kind of like it's not you're ripping them off, but like,
and nobody owns the numbers either.
Exactly. Okay, so moving away from the in-depth series, something I found interesting was that you made a podcast with Machinima. It was called Machinima Live Podcast. I wanted to ask you if this was the first experience you had doing podcasts.
Yeah, pretty sure it was.
Okay. What happened to it that it didn't got off the ground for only to get 3 episodes?
It was long. It was boring. Like 5 people would watch it. Not worth the time.
Okay. And we're moving back into this series. If it were realistic, actually, when I watched the title, I came in expecting something else. But when I watched through those, I kind of like, oh, this is a comedy machinima.
Yeah.
So again, the genesis of if it were realistic, what made you kind of like how it was born.
We were just sitting in a game talking about how silly it was that you can get stuck in the knife with a heart, or stuck in the heart with a knife, or shot with a 50 caliber rifle and you don't die. And we just made a short little video. Machinima, they had at the time, I didn't talk about this too much earlier, a bonus program. If you uploaded so many videos per month, you got paid so much money, just a flat rate. And the goal was to make more series. Me and Euphorian Films and most of the other directors were just abusing it and uploading random shorts to get the bonus money. We had maybe a day to meet the deadline, and I got online super quick and did the if it were realistic and throwing knives in like an hour and a half and tossed it together, and CK redid the voice a little bit and put it up there. Huge success. It's like, okay, and the next time I planned it a little bit more. We did it in like 2 days because we were still behind. Threw it up there. Huge success. Machinima was like, we want you to develop a series. And I let all that go to my head. I invited way too many people to work and collaborate, and I had no idea what a series was or how to do anything with it. And I was just throwing random stuff out there. So some of them were huge hits and some of them were colossal failures. Unfortunately, there were so many colossal failures. Machinima got pretty disappointed with the series, and they gave it a second go in season 2, which was again massively hit or miss. The views were pretty good. Audience reception is some people like it. Some people think it's the worst series ever made. Season 3 didn't go over too much better, so I don't know.
So it was kind of like an unexpected hit.
Yes, very unexpected.
And would you say the same about In Depth back then? Like we're talking about the same timeline of when you developed.
I didn't expect it to do as well as it did.
Okay, so another series. So showing off. The question I have here is that could this concept be possible without the freeview camera or theater mode?
Not really, no.
So it was basically a series, and you can correct me here, if a series that it was developed to kind of like show what theater mode can do, or
in a way, yes, because I always thought theater mode was really cool, and nobody used it. Nobody still uses it because it takes too much work. But the idea was, okay, well, everybody's doing gameplay commentaries. What can I do differently? Well, I filmed these little videos like Machinima's. What if I made a cinematic commentary? And I had a couple of good gameplays, and I just kind of rolled with it. The first episode was wildly successful. Every single one after that colossal failure, nobody liked. I don't know why. And every now and then I would kind of bring it back. Like maybe they'll like it in Modern Warfare 3. Not really.
Yeah, but then again, the theater mode in Modern Warfare 3 was severely lacking in what Black Ops offered. Yes. It's kind of like everybody in the community, including the commentators, are in agreement. Like, okay, Infinity Ward. It's kind of like you tried. Let's give you a star, but it's nowhere near as robust as the one Black Ops was.
Yes, and Black Ops 2 has an even better theater mode, but it takes a lot of work to use, so I'm lazy with it.
Okay, you have a history of doing a lot of dual comps. It was part of the idea that it's not like I really have a question, but about this. But what I want to know is if the people that you chose were if they came up to you, went up to them, how
There
they
were two
approach.
things with this. The first thing, I had no clue what a dual com was at first when I learned. I was very busy with school at the time, and I had no idea what to put on my channel, so I just thought dual comms for everybody. Took on everybody, like 50 of them. Terrible idea. Worst idea I've ever had. But the content was there. That was a bad idea. After that, I just kind of, I don't know, sometimes I just feel like showing off the work that other people do. I don't know. I like and favorite stuff a lot. Anytime I see something that I feel like could use a little bit more attention than what it's getting, there's nothing more complicated than that.
You still do those today, right? Or you
Yeah.
have
I don't do dual comms as much anymore. I do occasionally. I do some shout outs and some cross promotion. I do use the like and favorite button a little bit more than some people do, but it doesn't really matter.
okay. So another series, the Ozymandias update. And I really had to ask you in kind of like a semi-joking tone, what is it about your dog that attracts so many people?
Well, I think the dog is cute. The breed is like it's bred to be cute. It's bred to be adorable. It's a Japanese breed. They've bred them for years and years and years to look like that. It's also an internet meme. They had the Shiba Inu puppy cam, and uh, I don't know. It's just a cute little dog, and a lot of people. It looks really weird. It looks like a little fox. It's a very. It doesn't always look like a dog, especially even when I see my wife walking the dog from far away. It's like, is she walking a squirrel? Is she walking a fox? What is that? And when he was a puppy, I actually had some really big redneck guy pull up to me in his huge truck. He's like, "Son, are you walking a squirrel?" And I was like, "No, this is a dog." And I showed him. He's like, "Well, that's the weirdest dog I ever seen. I thought you was walking around with a squirrel on a leash." I was like, "Nah, just my dog." He's like, "Well, good day then," and just kind of drove off doing his thing.
Let me guess. That was back then when you live in Mississippi.
That's correct.
Okay, so another thing, the zombie gameplays, the latest New vs Pro featured them, but I want to go back to when you did them. There were some in-depths done about the zombie gameplays, but
Yep.
considering but talking about the mode, would you consider to be a fan of it?
Yeah, zombies is fun. I'm not good at it at all, but it's fun. It's like getting an extra game with my game almost.
And most of the videos that you put out, is it because subscribers that like zombie content can be very vocal about those? Um, would you say that you kind of like satisfied that demand for zombies videos, or is just something that you wanted to try and just went for it?
Um, I don't, in some ways, I don't go chasing what people want. I just kind of make the videos I like to make. Obviously, some things are made to be a little more popular than others, but a lot of times I just wake up and like, I'm feeling zombies today. It's zombies.
Okay. Okay, the next question might sound a little bit weird, but bear with me, and I'll explain why later. There were a phase, or maybe there's still a phase of videos in which you give how-tos. You made a how to create your emblem. You did how to settle your gaming card to make it to the optimal settings. So the question here would be, and trust me, bear with me on this. Would you consider yourself to be a person that is able to that wants to help others?
I do like helping. Back then, I did it because I was angry at all the people that would send me messages with strange questions, and then when I told them I didn't know, they would yell at me, and I told them that I'm not, or, all caps. It's like, I'm not Hopog tech support. Please, I just don't know what's your problem with your computer, and you get the same questions over and over and over again. So eventually, I was like, I'm just going to make a video. So instead of typing the same 3 paragraphs, I'm just going to link the video.
Yeah, but it's the internet. It's difficult to please the internet. I know.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so moving on to another series, Drifter's Madness. They were kind of like three sub-series within that whole. We got the Epic Dream, Drifter, the Demon Slayer, and the Ghost Stories. I re What the hell goes on in your mind, Drifter? What the hell?
Bad things mostly.
Apparently. Okay. In one of the videos, you said that you did lucid dreaming when you were a kid. Talk a little bit about that.
I did. Some dreams were lucid. That's kind of like where you're in control of your own little world. You can do whatever you want. You get to play a little god inside your own head until you wake up, of course. Other dreams were all my dreams. I'm a conscious actor. I don't dream about random, like some people dream about random scenes or events or where they're not themselves or they're not in control. I'm always in control of myself and my dreams, but the scenario around me is usually very different, and it's always been that way. So it's like a half lucid dream.
So basically, the real lucid dreams are the ones that you make into Drifter the Demon Slayer.
No.
Okay.
That's not a lucid dream is where you are in control of the world. Like if a lucid dream would be like in the dream I just snap my fingers and something happens. Like I want to fly, done. I want that person to burn, done. I want to build a house, snap. You just think it and it goes. That's a lucid dream where you're in control of everything. What I would call a semi-lucid dream is where you're conscious and acting, but you are not in control of the dream itself.
Okay, that question didn't work. So let me be a little bit clear. You're talking about the lucid dreams, and when I hear your explanation, I'm thinking right here. So what happened in one of your lucid dreams was the inspiration, so to speak, to for Drifter the Demon Slayer. I'm talking about this sub-series in particular.
No, because that actually happened, and it was not a lucid dream. A lucid dream was like, okay, I had a lucid dream, I don't know like how many months ago. It was like, I realized I was dreaming, and I was like, this dream is boring. And I just swiped my arm across the universe, flattened everything until it was a flat, empty plane. And it was like, I want mountains here. I want a house here. I'm going to put a dragon here. I'm getting armor. I can fly. Also, I'm really strong. I'm going to fight this dragon because it's fun.
I should have watched at least one episode of Drift0r Demon Slayer.
That's a lucid dream. A non-lucid or semi-lucid dream is, imagine tomorrow you wake up in a completely different world. You're you, everything about your body is you, and you're in control of yourself. But the world around you, you have no control over, and you're just stuck there.
To be honest, most of my dreams are either deja vus or my nightmares. Usually are me just falling into a pit, which really plays into my a fear heights thing. It's kind of like I wake up in a cold sweat, and it's really difficult. Okay.
And back to the question, the dreams are not things that were inspired as much as they just happened, and I just told people what happened. Okay. Same thing.
And the ghost stories.
I don't. Where people like they think I make this stuff up for fun. I don't.
Well, when you're used to kind of like listening to ghost stories as a kid, so some place along the line of people telling the story onwards, so it kind of loses the meaning if it was real, if it was not real. So people just play it safe and just assume it's not real. It's just a story meant for entertainment. I don't know. That's just my input on it. Okay, let's move on to the let's play of Portal. What spun that one off?
I don't know. Portal 2 was fun. I enjoyed it. I was Blurry's wanted to be my co-op partner, so we're like, all right, let's do a video on it, and we did that.
Okay, he was okay with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one, the ever so popular versus videos. I'm not gonna reference or I'll just rather reference the latest one being the Pawn Star one where you lost the bet, basically.
Well, that's Pawn Star series, so I only did that one, and he wanted an interesting challenge, an interesting gameplay, and a high stakes bet for his first episode, and I agreed to do it with him because Pawn Star helps me out a lot, so I decided I'd help him, and he beat me. He legitimately beat me at the game, and I try to be a man of my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, and I lost my bet and I paid up.
the phone pro computer. What happened to let me just make a disclaimer here. There's a question here in which may sound a bit pedantic, so to speak, but trust me, it's not my intention.
Okay.
So let's start with this one. What happened to your old computer?
I got a computer from CyberPower PC. I got the cheapest, like, corner cutting deal I could a while back so that I could render videos better because I was doing it on a very dumpy laptop. It was great for a while, and I had it set up on a stand a little bit above my desk so that it wouldn't sit on the carpet and overheat. I was recording commentary. My capture card was hooked up. My headset were hooked up. My dog decided to just run around. He caught his neck on my headset and jerked it really hard and screwed up the port so that I think I had to get a new headset or had to use a different port. Knocked the computer off of the top of the desk while it was running, smashed it on the ground. The case bounced off and yanked some wires out. The front case, it was all the ports on the front. And also because it was hooked up to the capture card, I think it popped the capture card out of the PCIe slot forcibly. And after that, after the dog was done being yelled at, and I put it all back together, it never, ever worked right the same ever again. I had motherboard issues. I had the capture card never worked right. I had to get a new one. The ports were screwed up, and it had somehow that damaged the hard drive even so that it would just kind of crash randomly. I didn't use it for about 6 months, and then I did a lot of work on it, and I got it to where it would boot up and it would work most days. And usually I could use it for like 2 or 3 hours before it would crash, and I kept fooling with it and trying to fix it and trying to fix it. And I'd kept it going for so long, actually, that I got a new laptop. Lo and behold, the big computer breaks. It won't even turn on. Like, no power, no nothing. Just like you hit the button, it makes a bunch of random noise and shuts itself down. And I take it to computer companies to get it looked at in town, and they would quote me something like $200 just to look at it, and the machine's not even worth that much. And I know the people are ghetto and they don't even fix it right. The laptop dies about 2 days later. It had a hard drive failure. It was a Dell. So there I am. I had just decided that I was going to do more YouTube to pay for my college, and I'm all blowed up. I had a computer and a backup computer, and neither of them were fixed. The Dell, actually, they quoted me 6 weeks to repair, and it took like 7 or 8, but I did get that, and then it failed again. So but actually got that one back to working like a couple months later, but the big one was just shot. I ended up selling it, or the case, and a couple of the components that still worked.
Okay, and then you made the announcement that your computer was broken, but you made the call to make it to subscribers to donate to you, in an effort to make it to get a new computer. And this is the question where I might sound pedantic, but trust me, it's not my intention. What made you think that your subscribers would want to donate?
Most of them didn't. I was desperate. I had no real income from the job. I had bills to pay. Both of my computer and my backup computer blew up at the same time, and that meant that the YouTube money was going to dry up, and I had no money at all to purchase anything with. Some people were telling me I should like go to Best Buy and get a $199 computer on a loan, and I'm like, I know that won't even run its operating system, much less Sony Vegas. And I was very, very desperate. The channel was just picking up a little bit, and I knew actually had some people, like other commentators, send me a little bit of money, and I was like, you know what, maybe there's some kind people out there. There's like 20,000 subscribers at the time. I was like, even if just a few of them send me a couple dollars through PayPal, then I'll have enough money to put in with my own to get a computer. What happened was that there were tons and tons of people out there, tons of very nice people that I had never seen leave a comment or a message before ever, sent me money with message through PayPal saying, you know, get back to work, have fun, whatever. There were lots of people, and an abnormal amount of women too. Lots of women sent me money, and I have no idea why. I didn't even know there were that many ladies on my channel. Some people was like, oh, it's just the kid's mom, but I don't. I'd like to think not. I like to think that ladies like me.
At this day, does your wife still get angry at the thought about that?
No, she was happy. And I think I'm pretty sure I sent everybody thank you messages back, and I made a montage for them. They sent me way more money than I ever expected to get. And they also, that was also abnormal, is that women were the big spenders. They were sending in really big figures. And it got to the point where I realized if I kept this going on too long, that they would send me too much money and that I would be fleecing people. So I stopped it early. I think it was earlier than I planned. I thought it would take like a long time to get a computer. And I put in with my own money, and I got what at the time was a very good computer. I didn't really build it for gaming. I built it for editing. It's the computer that I'm still using right now, and minus one dog-related injury to the computer, which is frustrating. It works very well. It's actually just this past couple of weeks started to slow down because I'm putting so much on it and working it so hard.
So let's go over a few pilot series that didn't made the cut, so to speak. I have as a matter of example here, the Wave and Skyrim fails. So
Okay, The Wave. That was with Bayesian Canadian and obviously Jesus. That was at a time where OJ was in college and Bayesian was moving, and we could not get any schedules together, and we just could not like get together and do it. Also, it was created by a third party. There was this person who was a machinima director that got in touch with all of us. He was a very convincing individual, and he said a lot of things, and he was going to edit the video. And eventually, when he was being shady, but eventually I worked out up to he was like 13, and he got removed from or was inactive in the program. And he was like, okay, that's fine. And then eventually he sent in this video of what was supposed to be the gameplay, and it was recorded in like 240 or 360p, and it looked terrible, and the editing was terrible. And I just went ahead and did the bad guy thing and just kind of kicked him off his own show and told him, this is ridiculous. You lied to me. This isn't what you said you were going to do. And I did it with just the three of them. And the first episode, I don't know if we did two. I think it was just one. I liked it. It was fun. It had good gameplay and conversation. But then we couldn't meet up to do it. It just the scheduling was bad.
okay, in Skyrim fails.
I don't know. I just played. It made Skyrim not fun. I played Skyrim for fun. I didn't want to play with always recording. Just wasn't fun.
I have here that you participated in a few communities for charity called the community. What it was named. Who made the approach? Was the company approaching
It was not a company. It was a person, and he just asked me if I wanted to be in, and I hopped in.
Okay. And how far you got?
I think the first Call of Community, I lost the first round. The second one, we made it 2 or 3 rounds in.
Do you remember the figures that collected?
Oh God, tens of thousands of dollars, something really absurd.
Oh, nice. It's kind of like what was it called? There's an event developers hold gaming for charity. I think it's held around August or September. It's kind of like you were going, at least the person was going for something like that, I guess. Moving on to New versus Pro. It's kind of like the series that recently got a reboot. Where does the idea of it's kind of like where does the idea come from that having basically Ozymandias insult you over gameplay?
It came from the Wave because the gameplay I had Bayesian Canadian was camping, so I just put the dog in there to talk trash to him, and people thought it was funny. I was working with a voice actor at the time, and he was thinking about making videos, and I had a lot of people request that I do a dual comm with your dog, lol, and it just kind of all those ideas came together, and I was like, you know, I'm gonna try doing a dual commentary with the dog and just see what happens, and that's what happened.
The voiceover for Ozymandias was someone in which you worked with back in the Euphorian film days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And from the get-go, it was intended to be comedy, or you wanted to
all comedy, and it was mainly meant for. It was meant to be very lighthearted, very little seriousness to it.
Okay, so now that I'm almost wrapping up the series, for the series that are not current, is there something that you would bring back, either in its original format or reimagined?
I would really like to do showing off more often. but it takes so much work to do that.
Any other things, maybe from the foreign film days, there was something that you would have loved to touch a bit more about that?
There were a lot of the best things were the things that we never made. There were lots of series that we had scripts for that we could never produce or didn't produce. Some of them went all the way into doing voice acting. We had Stranded. We had oh God, I can't even remember all the titles that I had done. I had tons of scripts and stuff that just never went anywhere.
Okay, so you stopped playing Black Ops. I believe you were done with In Depth for Black Ops back then, and then you went off to do goofing off with in Battlefield 3. That's also that was also one you did for fun.
hmm It was fun.
Mm. I don't know if this one qualifies quite as a series, but I did saw some videos on that. You would correct me here. The Never Rage Quit. Would you consider it series or just
Yeah, it's probably a series. I do those when I get frustrated with people rage quitting.
well I suppose in Black Ops 2 it's more prevalent, I guess. It seems basically people they just rage quit to preserve the stats. Kind of like your opinion. I want to ask about your opinion on the whole stat debacle. How
I don't think
strong?
they do it for stats. The average player doesn't even consider their stats. They do it because they don't like losing. The perception is, I paid for this game. I want to win. I'm not going to pay to lose. My counter argument is, you paid to play a game, not to play I win. If you want to play I win, go play Skyrim. You'll win.
Would the amount of videos that you put out for Never Rage Quit would amount that how strong you feel about the issue?
Yes.
Okay. And here's another interesting topic. This could spawn off a good conversation, and this is where the whole placebo effect thing that happened that happened. You put out a video that the gun buff was a placebo effect. It really got spread out to YouTube, and the community manager of Infinity War got word of it, and she was actually kind of like I don't know if degrading to the level of the community usually degrades to the flame war or something. So I want kind of like your side of things, kind of like let's start from the beginning. Then when people started, then when you got word of Tina's I don't know if I should call it anger about the whole issue.
Um, hmm, that is not something that I can really talk about a whole lot. It was a misperception on both of our parts. She just asked the engineers there, was like, "Did you do the update?" All the people at the Treyarch, not Treyarch, my bad, Infinity War were like, "Yeah, we just rolled it out. What's this guy talking about?" And on their systems, it was working fine. She also didn't. She was community manager. She didn't know how the game code really worked or anything, and because her engineer said it was fine, and I was saying it wasn't, and she was like, "Who is this random guy on the internet?" And she could see the kind of attention swirling, and this happens a lot. Oh, it's like, this guy, he's a troll. He's doing this for attention. This is garbage, especially when the people there at the office say that it's working. It's working on her and on their systems, and I don't think she had a clue who I was, and I don't mean that and say like I should be known because I'm so awesome, but um, it just, she didn't know. I I didn't know who else to contact, and it didn't go very well. She apologized. We made up. It's all cool now, but it was a frustrating day or two.
But okay, so when you started to, it was kind of obvious for watching from your videos that you actually rethought the way of okay, if I'm gonna say this is a placebo, I'm just gonna present evidence.
No, the first time I did not present evidence because I didn't think it was necessary to prove a negative.
Okay. But then again, people took your word as it was gospel. So
Yes,
um,
but it's something that you could take you like 2 minutes, minimal knowledge of a game to test it.
okay. So
Nobody did it.
yeah, they just went to Tina, and that's when and then was all broke out. Sadly, so So basically you took for example with the whole grip issue, you actually went through the trouble of presenting the tests, make it maybe a lesson learned from the whole issue with Modern Warfare 3. But I but as a YouTuber, how do you feel about people taking YouTubers' words over a developer's word?
You shouldn't take anybody's word for anything because that's an appeal to authority. There are some basic things. You don't have to prove a negative. That's where religions run into trouble. It's like prove God exists, and the other person's like, well, prove He don't exist, and that never goes anywhere. But if one person, let's say that I'm a troll, okay, and I say the patch does nothing. This gun did not get a change in damage, and the developer says yes, it did. And now, who has to prove something here? The person in the authority has little to prove in this situation. Like you'd have the troll would have to show that it's doing something. If there's, and let's say that I'm not a troll, or let's say that I'm a community guy, and I say the patch did nothing. Here is the evidence for it. And the developer's like, I don't have to prove anything. That doesn't work there. They would have to show that it does do something. Like if the developer says we did X to the game, it's like, okay, show me X. It's the same thing with the grip. The developer says the grip improves recoil. I test recoil the only way that you can test it in the game that's reliable, and it comes up bunk. It's an appeal to authority you don't want to go for, and you don't want to side with. I'm trying to, because you get these. It's like a logical or philosophical argument, but essentially, whoever makes the claim has to present the proof. If you said something happens, prove it happens. If you said something doesn't happen, that's a little bit harder. You can show evidence of it not happening, but proving a negative is quite hard.
Well, let's just say, for the sake of example, if you did present evidence that the gun damage didn't work, people. Knowing the internet, probably people would accuse you of using old videos that you use for testing damage. Mm-hmm. So
that's exactly why proving a negative is very difficult.
Exactly. And basically the whole grip ordeal spanned through 4 or 5 videos. You're making the 5th one, right? In
the 3rd one.
It was it was a first. There was a second.
And the second, and that's it.
Okay. And you actually got some feedback from Drift0r. He can be quite of a troll, but he's
like everybody thinks Drift0r was mad at me or being mean or rude, but he seemed okay. He was just telling people what the grip does, and that's that.
No, it's because Drift0r is kind of like it's not really a community manager, but however people get information from Black Ops.
Yeah, he's the lead developer. He's like the head of all the programmers and everything.
But then I can't see why people made the assumption, because Drift0r doesn't talk a lot. It's like on Twitter. He tweets like what every 15 days or so, and I would assume so because he's busy with work. In the videos that you make, there are some topics that you change that could hit people's nerves. I call them controversial topics. So the first question here would be: do you like a good debate, or you like debates?
Yes, it's if you don't see multiple sides of an issue, or you don't understand why people believe some things they do, then it limits your scope of understanding of the issue or the thing of itself that's being discussed.
Okay. How do you choose your topics? And this would include all the videos that you had a topic like the fan base. I'm trying to recall from memory the recent ones. The fan base,
gun
hope,
debates,
gun debates.
Some of those are a little bit different. Some of the ones like Hope aren't so serious, but like the gun debates, sometimes I look on the comments of the in-depth videos, and there seems to be too many dumb people in the comments. So I make a video with a thumbnail and a title that is incendiary, or at least incendiary to people that don't think and rely on heuristics. And most of them will look at the title, they won't watch the video, they'll say something hateful, and they'll unsubscribe. And I think that's a good thing. And that's the reason I make those videos.
So basically, it's kind of like you're hurting. You're
Yes.
something like. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap this up right now. And the question here, which I usually wrap up, is is there a reason, kind of like past the fact that you enjoy doing it, that you do YouTube?
Um, I like making videos. I like telling stories. I like getting paid for it. And I like to try to encourage people to learn or try new things. And that's about it.
We're just gonna wrap this up. If you wanna watch Drift0r's videos, you can go to
YouTube.com/Drifter, and that's Drift0R, as in the letter, not the number, the numerical 0, the O with the slash through it.
Okay. Thank you for your time, Drift0r. We're going to
Anytime.
We're going back to the podcast.